Good evening, teleview. Welcome to Prime Hour on My Media Prime. In the program today, we are going to be looking at the lots and lots of frustrations expressed across the nation following the publication of the list of candidates to run for the coming regional elections billed for December the 6th, 2020. Lots of frustrations, especially in the ranks of the ruling CPDM party, which selected its candidate for the coming regional elections. We equally are going to be looking at December the 6th, frustrations expressed by lots of frustrations, especially in the ranks of the ruling the publication party, which the list selected its candidate declared admissible the investiture. We equally are going to be looking at also frustrations expressed by some candidates and Cameroonians as a whole, that the majority following the publication came of not only from one region, but of from one division in the south region. For this school year, we are going to be discussing this with lots of people. Think that some regional balance was not respected in the house, that the majority of the candidates came on their way not only from one region, but from one division in the south region. Good evening, televiewers. We are going to be discussing this with also panelists, some of other caps are good evening in the house, where others should still be on their way. Apostle Ambi Valentine Gwa is in the studio with us. He is a political analyst, he's a man of God, and also wears many other caps. Good evening, Apostle, and welcome.
God bless you. Good evening, Leo.
Also with us, sitting in for other panelists who should still be on their way is Tamai Jarvis. Good evening, Ta, and welcome.
To be here tonight to deliberate hard-burning issues that concerns our nation, Cameroon. You're welcome. God bless you.
Good evening to the president. Also with us, we hope that he got here for other panelists who should be on their way. Tamai Jarvis. Good evening, Ta. Cameroonians were expecting another second phase of the manifestations called by to the president of the Republic. We hope that he got opposition parties and civil society. Greetings, Apostle Ambe, advocate. Yesterday, were you surprised? Cameroonians were expecting another second phase of the manifestations called by the CRM alongside other opposition parties and civil society. Advocate, were you surprised at what happened yesterday?
It was normal for people who lost their senses. Nobody showed up because of target. English is not wrong. The noble part of it is when you come back to your senses, retrace your steps. I think the CRM party is getting the CRM party is the political strategize and do something better than the mess came back some few days back or something. It was normal.
When you say re-strategizing, they actually called for people to come out yesterday.
But the noble part of it is when you come back to your senses, understand that the people who went out initially,
okay, the people themselves,
party went out initially, they were beaten once and they've been shy twice. They've learned to understand that you don't.
When you say re-strategizing, they actually called for people to come out yesterday.
That's a ruler who gives a command for others to let you understand that the people who went out initially.
Okay, the people themselves.
Who went out initially, they were learned to follow leaders and they've been shy twice. They've learned to understand that you don't follow a leadership, they cannot obey. A leader does not take the lead, is not what follow you what to do. That's a ruler who gives a command for others to follow and does not take the lead at the forefront. What they say. That is not. So if a leader says he's a leader, he should be at the forefront. And secondly, the leader should also understand that he's losing following, because the Chinese proverb says when you are going ahead and nobody is following you, you're on a long stroll, you are not leading. So I think Professor Maurice Kamto should be able to understand by this time that he is losing grip over the Cameroon population, and also his popularity is dwindling. What we advise him to do right now is that, as a political strategist, as he's often called, he should put himself together and be able to gather some reasonable people who will talk him into a position of rebranding the MRC again, because there are some political errors when you make, it can discredit your leadership capacity as well as disqualify you before your own followers. So I think the attempt by President Maurice Kamto to march and protest in the street and did not come out himself in the name of being kept under house arrest, and the second call he made and nobody came out, should tell him that his popularity is getting away from him. He should try and do something to try and gather people back to himself.
Okay, your first take after what happened yesterday. following the call for persons to come out manifest to oust President Paul Biya?
Well, the thing is, it's not a surprise to me that yesterday was more of a normal busy day in the north, south, and east region of Cameroon, and take into consideration littoral and west region, to be more precise. The obvious reason is simple. Even those who came out on the famous 22, some of whom came out with just coming to see what will happen, and after looking at the chain of events, they thought as much that a stitch in time saves 9, and the only stitch in time is for you to stay in your house and not go out, not because of the presence of security forces. If you walk around the town, you notice that the security environment was not that tense as the case was on September 22. Lots of Carrefour just had 1 or 2 dotted police, but people did not come out because of learned the lesson. They have been educated as to the importance of staying at home, as of the importance of the nation to be in peace at this point in time, because they understand that it is a political game being played by the leader of the CRM, and they understand that it is good for them to stay at home, not to be used as political guinea pig for political experiment, but rather to see that they respect the norms and principles of the nation. I must tell you that if people had come out, it would have been shocking to me, because a lot of education was done. Remember that, Leonard, there is an issue with what Professor Maurice Kamto is calling for. You cannot and should not call for a general protest while sitting in your house and without displaying yourself at the point of need. Most of those who do that are either out of the country before they call that, or they're in a position where they can actually take the lead. And when you do such an action, knowing fully well, because first of all, you are mindful of the fact that you'll be kept under house arrest, and secondly, you are mindful of the fact that the people will be arrested. So to me, it's just logical for the people to stay at home, which I want to salute their effort that they did. And of course, we as Cameroonians can resolve our problems from the ballot box, and equally from a way in which it can be resolved from a general perspective.
Okay, we can resolve our issues. I'll start with you. Apostle Ambe, we are expecting Fire Elvis to join us in the course of this program, and Charles Mbola, 2 of whom we expect them from Boya this evening. Lots and lots of issues with the list presented across the nation, especially those selected through investiture. Your first reading on the selection mode of those who are supposed to represent the respective regions. It is, do you think the spirit of the regional councils and investiture go hand in hand?
Mr. Leo, we have to first of all establish the fact that this regional council stuff is something that is giving a lot of Cameroonians serious concern, because first and foremost, it's very, very technical in its approach. Section 251 of the Electoral Code stipulates that people who are supposed to be part of these regional councillors are individuals who originate in a particular region. Now, if they begin to take investiture as parameters, it does not even tie with the Electoral Code of Section 251 for people to be qualified to stand in that office. So I don't see the connection between investiture and the qualification to someone to stand as a regional councillor, because there is nothing in the Electoral Code, Section 251, that stipulates that investiture is one of the parameters or one of the credentials needed for you to stand as an electoral regional councillor.
Yeah, but that is a mode that was chosen by a party. That I'm talking about the CPDM.
That's what I'm talking.
Decide who goes there. But what I'm talking about has to do with decentralization. That is giving powers back to the local collectivities, that's the regions. Should those that are supposed to represent the regions be selected for them?
No, it's not possible. It's the people of the land that are supposed to select their councillors. If at all we are decentralizing power, then power should not be determined by the people in question. I think if we are carrying out regional councillors, the people of that particular region are the ones responsible to select the people who are competent enough to rule them. Because it's like we are not giving the people a chance. We are talking about democracy. We are not giving the people a chance to select their leader, because democracy is actually giving the people the opportunity to choose who they want to lead them. Now, these they are now selecting people from a central committee and sending, means they are imposing regional councillors on people. It doesn't stand again as democracy. Secondly, section 251 of the electoral code stipulates the qualification of somebody that's supposed to go in, and investiture is not part of the qualification highlighted on the electoral code section 251 to qualify for regional councillorship. So if you look at it, the whole thing is a drama. It's a drama being orchestrated by the CPDM party to carry out their personal interests. I think that they are afraid that if people are given the opportunity to select their own councillors, they may select councillors that will stand against and kick against the whims and caprices of the CPDM party. But now that they want to select, it means they want to send men that they can easily teleguide. What is the essence of decentralization? When the same people who have been remote controlled, that's why I told somebody today in the afternoon, I say this regional councillor thing is a television screen placed in different regions, while the central committee uses the remote control to change the channels. They are sending people who are going to stand as different channels. They can change and satisfy their egocentric interests, as long as the political interests of that region are concerned. That's not decentralization. It's not decentralization. It is not. If we are talking about decentralization, it's giving power back to the people. They have denied federalism, they have denied confederation, they have denied all sorts of government. Now they have brought decentralization. They should practice the decentralization as it's supposed to be. I mean, the people who are going to sit in the office. Decentralization is giving the chance to the people to make their choice of who they want and who they want to lead them. And the law also stipulates that people must be people who come from a particular region. Specifically, if you are from the BLM, if you are from Manu, if you are from Fako, you are supposed to be an indigene of that area. It is just like the special status in Canada, that before you will stand as a senator or a House of Rep member, you are supposed to be a native of that land. Then you'll be surprised to realize that you can even go to some of the different regions. You will discover that the people who are being sent to represent are not even indigenes of that land.
Understand, try to juxtapose investiture and the spirit of regional councils.
Issue is when we look at the context of regional council election and the problem is coming to solve, I think that it may not actually solve the problem. We go by the practicality now on the field, because we believe that regional council election was aimed at solving the problems of Cameroon and making Cameroon to have balance and all fair in such a way that the voice of every community and divisions are heard at the appropriate quarters. Looking at the motive which is being operated investitures at the level which the ruling party has an upper edge in or getting members being elected, I think is problematic. From the first set, you cannot have regional council election from effectively from a country which the ruling party dominates majority of the council, and by then, by so doing, investiture will have a great role to play as far as this is concerned. Leonard, it's politics. We cannot refuse the fact that whichever political party is there, they want to select people of their interest as far as this is concerned. But the shocking reality there is that Cameroon road. So we should keep aside the context of personal reward aside and look at the problems that we face in our society as far as Cameroon is concerned. It's sad to see that most of those who are selected, especially in Fako, politics is being played typically in Fako. Those who are calling the shot, they seek to call the shot for those who are to their tone, those who can actually say yes mama, yes papa, yes uncle, do the work and walk the walk and talk the talk. Leona, if you look at the criteria in selecting these regional councillors, it's based on, and the people should be given their voices to select their leader. Why don't we have a primary? Why don't you have at the individual level? How many people even know those who have been selected? If you move down to all these regions, all these divisions, where you have it will shock you that the common man in that locality does not even know the candidates and the names of those who have been selected. That's the first. And how are you going to solve a problem that you have been selected without the people even knowing those with whom you have been selected?
You are raising the issue of knowing them. Far Elvis Tayon is here with us. Elvis, if those who are supposed to be sitting at the level of the regional council are persons who are not maybe residents and not from the grassroots, how do they validly reflect or represent the regions?
Well, the main is that what we are discussing here, we are just discussing for discussing sake. I had said earlier that anything born of the national dialogue failed on arrival. Anything they say is part of the implementation of whatever failed on arrival. I have said several times, Her Majesty, the fund of Royal Majesty, as Dr. Fomukiwa does, that's my Royal Majesty in Gunoko village, as usual, and the people of Gunoko, because we are always thinking of them and knowing fully well that the village must move ahead. Now, the main issue here is the fact that I have made it clear here, anything that is born of national dialogue fails on arrival. It's true we are discussing because a wrong formula gives you a wrong solution. That's the first thing. And as we move on here, I have told all these regime barons that they are the ones deceiving themselves because we are more intelligent than where they are. Because the regional elections, the House of Chiefs, is an issue of compensating CPDM militants in one way or the other. It is now a one-house system. I am surprised why they didn't call it regional election. The composition, as we will say, you get to realize that all they do only adds to what we call another kangaroo system being put in place by state budget for no good reason. Politicians, the elites in Yaoundé, go act ultra-virus against the electoral law, and they influence divisional officers and state officials to get in and thwart the whole thing, and people are going scot-free. Look at the kangaroo state we're talking about. Let me take you to my village. We're talking about House of Chiefs. You see things moving. Southwest is suffering, my village is suffering. On the list, heading for the chiefs, we have a traditional ruler who is from Babi the Third, Matthias Nju. That's the second degree from
No, that's in woman.
Sorry, I'm still coming. I mean, sorry, from Richard Ayong, sorry. Yes. That's the second degree. And from Fomba Richard, we understand, if you look at the video we're talking about, that's second class, as they put it. Now, I want to let you know that even as they put it second class, that village has been rated as third class.
Okay.
Now, overnight, because they had a candidate, since as the law stipulates that it should be, unless in a case where the first and second class are not there, that's where they can now move into the third. Yeah. So what did they do? They left the second class chiefs we have in Bengu Center, went to a village which is third class, operating overnight, and where is the issue even coming? It becomes worse in that the fund and the next one who came in has not been officially put in place as traditional demands. That explains why even within the Bengu Funds Union, he is not a full member until those traditional rights are performed. But now some elite psychophants in the nation's capital Yaoundé, that as per the functioning of the House of Chiefs, the regional councils, any decision they take must not necessarily be applied by them, which means the head of state has prerogative either to accept the decisions they take within the House of Chiefs, regional elections, and regional councils or not. What does it tell you? It means that they are staying there is what called window dressing. Because you could take important information around the area, and it goes.
I don't know whether the sound system has been fixed. Eli, can you work on the sound system? Many persons watching on social media are complaining about the sound system.
So just to land here, if you look at the composition, as I said, even in Ngokutunja, they had the similar wahalas there. So you look at it. Littoral region, we had another issue. If you see the committee about the Behen talking about backing out from the central committee, these are
resigned from the CPDM.
Resigned from the CPDM. So you discover that it has come to a point whereby even the dog is biting its own piglets, her own piglets, which means that we have come to a crossroad where the regime has expired with ideas. Even the kangaroo snow you pretend to give, why not even make it resemble something? At the end of it, regional councils can never solve Anglophone crisis. Yaoundé, hear me and hear me very well. The mago you people do, we know it already. That's why we are not even interested in the whole issue. But as you want to waste the budget and compensate people, putting the wrong choices who would have even managed to talk, even if they are talking, has no use, because the head of state will decide whether to accept the ideas or not. At the end of it, we are playing to the gallery while people are dying day in, day out. These people will give an account.
If decentralization is supposed to, okay, we are talking about decentralization, full decentralization, accelerated decentralization, effective decentralization, and then regional councils are supposed to carry the aspirations of the people to Yaoundé. And going by what is happening, it is seemingly Yaoundé that is choosing who sits at the regional council. Who is afraid of decentralization?
The government is afraid of decentralization because they are power hungry.
Is it the government or elite?
No, it's the government.
Okay.
The government is the one that is in power, and majority is the ruling party, and the elites are just subject to the government. The elites cannot be afraid of decentralization because they benefit their people. The issue is they are caught in between the axe and the anvil, so they have no choice than to submit to what Yaoundé is determining. How do you explain that the executive of the regional council has the capacity to dissolve the council? It means the council is a makeshift building that can be displaced at any time. It's a makeshift building. It has no foundation. It can be displaced at any time. So that thing is just to me a means of convincing people that something is happening. In the 10 regions of Cameroon, we are expected to have 90 regional councillors in each section, making it 900. That's 70 regional councillors and 20 traditional rulers. And they gave now the standard and the class. Now, they are even saying that for you to be qualified, according to Section 180 of the Electoral Code, for you to be qualified to stand in the office, somebody can resign as an elected member to go and take up office. Why will someone resign occupying an office to go and call an office that will have majority people to occupy that office? Does that mean that people have the right to select in this nation what they want to become, while others are not even having the opportunity to be given the chance to rule? That is what the problem is. So when we are talking about decentralization, the government has been gripping power for many years, and they are not comfortable decentralizing because why? It will make them lose the grip over certain things, and they are afraid.
But you say it's the government, but I'll quote the media newspaper that talks spoke with Senator Mbelamoki Charles. He says that politics in Fako division has been hijacked by a few individuals who are managing it like their private property.
And do you think that Mbelamoki Charles will open his mouth to speak against the same fountain of water he's drinking from? Nobody is a child in this country at this level. Our brains have outgrown the whims and caprices of this government. Mbelamoki is a senator of the ruling party, and he cannot bite the finger that fits him. It's very certain. The only way he can express his anger is to lay it on the heads of people. You know, they can do him nothing. When a child cannot blame the father, he blames the brother, because he knows that the brother at him at the same level, they can settle their score. But if you blame the father, you may leave the house. So he expresses anger is to lay it on the heads of people. You know, they can do him nothing. When a child cannot blame the father, he blames the brother, because he knows that the brother at him at the same level, they can settle their score. But if you blame the father, you may leave the house. So he has an anger and does not know where to express it. The Englishman says, if you don't know where to express your anger, go to the sea and speak into the air. Let the waters carry your anger. So I think the elites there who is addressing, who are the politicians to hijack? When it is the central bureau of Yaoundé, that first of all,
Lamoki is one of the most outspoken. I think in 2017 I broke a news with him, which I interviewed him based on the phone crisis, and he was blank, but he was frank, and he said that the issue of Anglophone crisis must be resolved on dialogue table, and that it cannot
I've heard him talk.
I've heard him
at
the level of the Senate. So we cannot say he doesn't have the power to address. To me, I think the problem is not coming from the government. No government on earth will want the people to suffer, but the problem is coming from the elite, because the truth is the elite knows the implication of effective decentralization, that they will no longer be elite. If we have the effective decentralization, that aspect of coming to beg, of coming to show are the big man in a region, in a division, who die down. Because there are a lot of factors that are going to be put in place. There are a lot of developmental projects that are going to put in place. We have new elites that will come up. That's why you see, even at this level of investitures, they are bringing in people who, at the end of the day, will not be able to still rival with them. So I see that it's not just an issue of the government. It's an issue of elites. Let me give an example in FACO division. Look at those who have been selected. The head of those who are selecting the members to go in for candidates. It's not the government. It's not the president of the republic. Who called the shot are the elites within that region, and why they pick people who they know in the next 10 to 15 years who always become beggars, who always lead to want to ask favor from them. But when you come to a system where we have the effective decentralization, where candidates are selected based on meritocracy, they feel like these are the same people that will fight them in those regions. A typical example is politics in FACO. The politics in FACO is done in such a way that few individuals want to hold power in such a way you keep begging them. And if this effective decentralization is brought at a level in which a nation, as the government calls it, accelerated decentralization, you find a situation where we will no longer have the same people who call themselves elite. New elites are going to come out, new rules are going to come out, and the system will be broken. So these people are simply consolidating their foot, not the issue of Yaoundé, and they're making Yaoundé to understand that this is what they need. This is what we should handle. So to me, it's not just an issue of the government.
I've seen two of such petitions petitions coming from FACO, where they say that this elite you are saying, bringing their housemates.
They're bringing their housemates and the rest.
Maybe I just you know, this is the issue here. You know, Apostle said we have grown above the issue of playing ping pong politics. Now, Jarvis, I get you saying, but let me call the shot clearly. The government is the crooked machinery working out this mechanism. If you say Cameroon is a state of law, in a democratic country, institutions are supposed to be stronger, such that even people who want to wield their movements against the institutions are supposed to be called to order. But if people go scot-free in a country they say the state of law, it means the state is an accomplice. Let's not hide things here. Belamuki Charles cannot insult the state because he feeds from that state. Now look at the issue. We are talking about the issue of the FACO SDO who came in as was accused by the lawyers, right? Now, if we were in a state of law, he was supposed to have been called to order, as per se. Now, the issue we forget to understand here is that a crooked system has been put in place. And this system works in favor with the minority who call the shots in Yaoundé. I must let people know that there is no difference between the CPDM elites and the government. That's why during campaign they use CAs to campaign, which is against the electoral law. I was in my village in Bengui, that is around, around 4 years before the elections even came up. What was happening? Even state ministers use state cars. And when we're going out for cover, what did they do? They will cover the CA with they'll put the paper there, so they tape it. Yes, and we moved to Njikwa, moved to Ngi in CS. When they went back to Yaro, they removed the CS. So we are just saying that the institutions have been carefully put in place to put in place the crooked elites. When they carry out their move, what is the state doing? Do we have strong institutions? If we have strong institutions, these institutions are supposed to call even a central committee member to order that you have acted against the electoral law. But we see them going scot-free. So we are only looking for an excuse. But let us say that when a system is porous, the system should take the blame and move ahead. The kangaroo system is working. One, CPDM is the government, the government is the CPDM.
Yes.
Mr. Leo, the system, if we go by this system where you're saying, if you have good elite, they would work, you do use it for the advantage.
They must not be the government.
No, if you have good elite, they will use it for the advantage of this community. We have communities where the elites have been able to be stronger and develop their community. Nobody tells you as an elite
man by nature is egoistic.
No,
man by nature is egoistic.
No, fine. Nobody tells you. The elite. Let me give you an example. We've seen how Honorable Ngala Jegat in Camer. The effort is putting in for back to school.
We saw what the elites in the south.
We are seeing what the elites they are doing to ensure that their community. So it's an issue of personal egoism from individual elites. And if this elite want the growth of their community, they will use it for their advantage. Let me ask a simple question. Is it Yaoundé that's responsible for the chieftaincy title within your locality to ensure that your chieftaincy move on well?
I am
happy
Yaoundé.
It's not Yaoundé.
It's Yaoundé.
No, let me finish. Let me land.
No, that's not the topic, please. That's not a topic.
I just want to give an example. I'm just giving an example.
That one
has been failed in those chief things. We have mentioned the state has failed in that one.
You have developmental projects.
There has all those disorder of
you have
chieftains.
developmental projects that elites can carry, but because of the fact that they are not for the good of the community, they fear that if effective decentralization coming, it would take that away. There is a speed breaks we put in place, and that can be broken by the will of the people.
Okay, I will read just a portion of the petition that was written to Yaoundé. They are accusing somebody of cause to infiltrate his name in the list of delegates for the regional assembly and not the House of Chiefs. How can this person pick the house girl? The name is there, and the private secretary, the name is also there, as candidates for Boya in preference of other more qualified aspirations. I want us to look at the fact that there are persons who are now bringing their friends and close relations to sit at the regional council. How will such people without full competencies be able to even understand the problems of the people, articulate them, and then carry to or send to Yaoundé?
Where the regional councillor supposed to be selected by the indigenes of the area or godfathers.
But that's what we are talking about.
That is what I'm telling you. For the government to have given those godfathers such audacity, effrontery, temerity to be the ones to select individuals that will stand as regional councillors is an abuse of democracy in a monumental proportion. We have to be very clear. I think democracy is when the people make a choice for their candidate. How can it be that it is an elite that has such audacity and authority to take a house girl against the wish of the people? Is to tell you how much power has been conferred on the elite in question. It tells you back that there is no bird dancing by the roadside without somebody playing the drum inside the bush. Those elites have wings to fly because somebody has not clipped their wings. If Yaoundé was carrying out its activities very well, no elite in Sarawak has such audacity to select a house girl and give over a people who have not made a choice for their leaders. So let's stop rigmaroling this political stuff. Number two, investiture is not a qualification for candidacy. It's not. The fact that a party, first of all, is in error in the actual sense by using a parameter which is not in the electoral code section 252 to select a candidate already makes the entire system porous and crooked, which means everybody there is a rascal that cannot judge the other. So when we sit on media platforms and trying to play some politics that will satisfy some individuals, it's not comfortable. We are Cameroonians and we are working for the betterment of Cameroonians. I think the inhabitants of Fako division should be the one to make the choice of the candidates they want. People should put out their candidacy and then they should be voted for qualification.
Except that, no, let me, I don't want to read the petition. Everybody applied for it. Like what happened with the Chiefs, where they applied their list, and then those, because each party is headed by some people. It's at that level that
this maybe we are missing one factor here. The truth is, the same conditions that gives room for regional council. We should not forget that parties are represented, political parties are represented, and these political parties have meet the criteria as stipulated by that section they are quoting. So it's a it's not like an individual comes in and go and give a candidature like we have for municipal and legislative election. But it comes back to what it's a party.
It comes back to what Senator Mbela Mukicha is saying, that if few persons are manning
based on under the banner of a party.
How can
you cannot know about
I was talking before you came in. You interrupted me. I was talking before you came in. Before you interrupted me. I want to add that the elites that selected the house girl and the secretary, are they the only political figures in that political party?
Under the banner of that party. So you should not say the context you put, like the people have to select their leader. And the funny thing is, it sounds like it's a direct universal subject.
Okay, one of the things Senator Mbela Mukicha is angry about, he says people who were not in the CPDM are the ones benefiting. That is, in difficult times, the party militants are working. And when it comes now to positioning persons from Yaoundé with godfathers, and they come and decide on who has to get the benefit.
What he's saying is a system that is into. So I don't want to call it an event.
Okay.
I don't want to call it an event. Because I call it he's simply playing politics, just like what Apostle said. He does not want to accuse the persons directly concerned. If Cameroon is a state of law, and there are institutions that are actually acting, I don't think some people will win enormous pass to control a region's politics against the laws that are in the area. For example, if people send candidature, or put their candidacy on the ground, there are parameters that are used in selecting. Why would you put candidacy? An individual who has power in Yaoundé puts his own house girl, puts his driver, and then at the end, the house girl and the driver is selected. So to me, Senator Mbelamoki, you have tried your best, but it's no news as of now because you know the system very well. I would think that if the law courts are there, I would think that the system is not kangaroo. The electoral laws and the powers that be are supposed to call this list to order and bring them to order. But if they say and militants are complaining because the militants cannot face the government, they decide not to hang now on particular elites. Like the other day when one of them was resigning, what was he saying? I'm ready from the CPDM party, but I maintain my support for the head of state. The head of state is still CPDM. CPDM is the head of state. So you see that you just oppose yourself because you don't want to call a spade a spade. You want to give an impression that you are still with the head of state when you are not even with him. So at the end, the politics that has come into this country, these are the consequences we keep saying. And I always say for this country to change, some of us have been accomplices because we failed to call a spade a spade. Look at a criteria put in place, supported by a regime, and the regime is quiet. If it's in another country, any SDO who flags on this law will be suspended as I speak now. If it's in another country, he should have gone on suspension as I speak now for meddling with electoral laws. But what are we saying? These people who have done law in ENAM and all the like, it's going scot-free. And I told the lawyers the other day, who are filing those cases, don't be surprised that after filing the case at the administrative court, you will see it being thrown as null and void. It's very possible.
Yep.
It's a kangaroo system where we are.
Yeah, Senator Mbelamoki says politics in FACO has never been this confused. That is, they no longer understand.
I like that, Senator. Yes. Interesting.
The truth is that we have to be very sincere.
Yes.
Senator Mbelamoki, before even becoming a senator, he's been as a mayor that has been cherished and respected by the people. Because one man that if there's a little bit of justice in anybody in the Boyafako division, Senator Mbelamoki still carries a level of justice in him. I must appreciate that. But the truth is that we are in a system whereby you are not privileged to express your full right. And sometimes you are forced to transfer your anger on some people just because you don't want to offend others. I think he's giving actual facts, but he doesn't know where to direct his anger. And he's afraid to direct the anger where he's feeding from, because they might end up disciplining him.
No, petitions have been sent to Yaoundé. Just that I don't want to read them. They are speaking because there was a meeting
and they have sent petitions to Yaoundé.
That's what I'm making you understand, Mr. Liu.
That's a central committee.
I'm addressing. That's what the central committee, not the system. But the issue is this.
No, but you just said here that the CPDM is Pobia.
So they said
address to Pobia direct as a person, not the party.
No, go on. Continue.
You guys should allow us speak.
No, go on.
Like I said earlier,
Yes.
Mbelamoki is somebody we respect, and is somebody, at least if there's some serenity, some sanity in a politician in the Southwest region, is in him. Let us acknowledge the fact that he is bringing out very strong points. But the issue is, who are the people who are enacting this thing? How many of them are enacting it? Does the majority of that political party in question stand with what the Mbelamoki is saying? Because at the end of the day, if the majority and the superior barons who seem to be higher than him stand against him, that thing will pass through. The problem is this: the president has the capacity to control all these elites. And the people at the central committee equally have such authority. If at all the people now decide to allow such authority in the hands of the elite who are selecting house girls and secretaries oh, Jesus of Nazareth. May God help our nation, because we are even trying that this decentralization should come and even resolve some certain problems that are hanging in the air. It is even getting worse. That tells us that the level of corruption in what we are seeing as a savior, the regional councillors are coming as a savior, but the political manipulation in it is even stronger than what has landed the nation into where it is right now. So setting up an already corrupted office will tell us that nothing holds the future, or the future holds nothing as far as the decentralization and the regional councillors are concerned. Because they are already exposing the kind of person they want to give us to overshadow or man authority over us. It is very, very delicate, because we do not even have the right to make the decision on who's supposed to lead us. It's bad.
Okay, it's but Senator Mbila Charles actually says expressly that today party choices are made on dining table.
Correct.
I think Senator has a point in that, because we must equally educate Cameroonians to understand that when it comes to regional elections, as far as this particular year is concerned, it involves political parties. And now each party has its principles that it operates. And sometimes we should not take party issue and bring it at the level of national issue or individual issue, feel like it must be done at a particular way. The issue now should be, we should have a sense of education to educate the common man that when next municipal and legislative elections are called upon, we should actively participate so that we boot out this system. Because, excuse me, you are a member of a political party. Are you not? Are you a member of a political party? Are you not? Now, without the political party that you are, we can actually put out. The truth is that, Leonard, if some political parties had gone in for the municipal and legislative election, they would have had a stake to change one or two things. And it's a journey of testing might begin with a step. But when we have parties that boycott, at the end of the day, come now to regional council election, where parties have their own principles. The section 153, as you quoted, 251, as you quoted, has its principles that, okay, you must meet this criteria, this criteria, this criteria. And when you must meet this criteria, now it comes out to selection. When it comes to selection, you are not selected the way it should be selected. You should blame the elite. I think one of the issue, I want to still make it clear that Senator Belamoki has always been vocal and has always been that person that calls the shot a shot. And he's not looking at issues. When it comes to the issue of the nation, he calls the nation to order. And we've seen it at the level of the Senate House. We've seen it at the level of Boya. I remember that I broke a story where he said that the issue of Cameroon must be resolved on the dialogue table. And he stated that clearly. And when it comes to politics in Fako, there are some few elites who have been there since God called Abraham. They are in Yaoundé and they are up there and determine the politics of Fako division, which is not supposed to be like that. I will not call names, and they know themselves. They know that they are old. They know what they are doing. Look at what happened in municipal and legislative election. They had their candidates, and we had young, vibrant men in Fako division. We had young, vibrant Bakure youth and those who are not Bakure who can man position. But the question now is, will they be able to lick the shoes of those top or elites? No, they cannot. And because they feel like when they give chances, they will not become that powerful elite. These people will have new powers and they will become irrelevant and obsolete. There is no need to open the system. And you understand that the system of regional council election is at the level of party politics. It's not at the level of general interest. So now, you cannot equate.
Can we understand the cry of Senator Mbila Mokichas? Because I believe that he's seen it all when it comes to Fako politics. He's been there, and when it comes at this moment, persons are parachuted from Yaoundé who are not even on ground because he lives in Boya. He knows these things. And yes,
let me just come in here. You know that as we are talking, when I hear my good friend Jarvis talks about elections and elections, people could decide. You know, it looks like we are not Cameroonians.
Okay.
Because when we talk about electoral laws and the need to revamp the electoral code, I have the impression that sometimes it looks like we want to sing songs to some people and put some of them like Baby God. No. In the parameter and the history of elections in this country, before elections are reruns or are carried out, the mechanism put in place by the state knows the stakes of the election. I'm very sorry to tell you that. That's the more reason why you see with the handwork of Elecam, which is them, with CPDM members of the Central Commission and everything, with the handwork of Minat, all present with CPDM, those things are carefully worked out. Let's not behave as if we're angels here. Now, on the issue of the cry of Senator Mbela Mukichas, that I see we are talking as if Mbela Mukichas come from heaven is a godsend. Nah, lie. I know the politics in the Southwest. I can tell you the history of Senator Mbela Muki. I know the Rigmarole politics in the Southwest because I've been there throughout my life. In as much as he's complaining, which is correct, but the truth is that it is politics playing. I want to let you know that in the Southwest region, the main thing we should understand is that the offspring of a viper cannot suddenly become a leopard or suddenly become a tortoise. The offspring of a viper is a viper. So, no matter how the offspring of a viper pretends to lure you closer to, the more you come closer, it will stink you. So, what am I saying here? Everybody has his good side and his bad side. He has been a good male. We first of all know the controversies that surrounded. We have the history of how the things occurred before he came and told that. He is a hardworking somebody. That's what we have to confirm with that. That we cannot dispute. But to get up one morning and we start talking about Senator Mbelabiku, just go up, calm down, turn for backside. I want to let you know he understands the system more than you and I.
Have you answered my question?
No, I'm trying to answer a question.
We are not talking.
Your question is about his worry. I've said the worry is genuine.
Yes, but I'm saying, I am saying that he lives in Boya.
Correct.
Those who have petitioned to Yaoundé, most of them live in Tiko, in Limbe, and maybe Moyoka and the rest.
Correct.
How do we explain? Should they not really express their frustrations that decisions are taken by those who live in Yaoundé?
This is where the issue comes in. I say I am surprised at his utterance. Because it's not today we know that decisions are taken from Yaoundé. Mr. Lo, it looks like we're not Cameroonians.
Yeah,
from then immemorial.
Yeah, but is it normal?
From the period of multipartism, we have cried. Neil John has cried. People have cried. Has anything changed? So if we come today,
the president has cried.
I'm coming. We have been crying also. So my worry here is, if we are in a system that we already system selects people from Yaoundé in a ruling party and we are members of that ruling party, the selection now should not be surprise to us. That's where my worry is.
Okay.
He has a point. But the cry out for loud should not be strange to me. It could be strange to some of you who said that Beramuki, go up, come down. As for me, it's not strange because he knows about the selection process. He's a baron in the party. He knows the mafia from start to finish. It's not because the issue now is surely not working in his favor or surely not working the way he thought it would have been because he's objective to an extent. It's not too bad, he's objective to an extent. It's not because it's not working the way he thought it should be that he should be crying for, because the crime foul had been, and he knows the system very well. So what am I saying? The petitions we are writing, don't be surprised that the petitions could be considered, correct? As well as they could be dropped. Now it depends on who is playing the drum in the bush. If the man who's playing the drum in the bush is closer to the big man, the petition will be null and void. So at the end of it, when we're clamoring for real democracy to be put in place, some of the CPDM barons thought we were joking. Today, I say the pig itself is eating her own piglets. And now they are complaining. Let them taste what it takes for someone to go through injustice. When you sit, you win an election, they steal the election, you take it to the Constitutional Council, a CPDM Constitutional Council, they tell you it is survivable. At the end, they put it the way they want to put. Today, we are talking about CPDM. It's a single party issue in the north and the southwest. And we said that because people did not go for election. Would that have changed with the current system we have? Why is the government refusing to restructure the electoral laws? Why is the government refusing to adjust the laws on digitalization? Because the laws are not clear. And I'm sure we'll find them talk about that. If we take text by text, you discover the laws on digitalization and the regional councils and the House of Chiefs are a mere smooth screen houses only to compensate political friends who have been loyal in one way or the other. It's a worry.
Irrespective of the fact that the electoral system may not be perfect, but isn't it also genuine for these people who are militating within the CPDM party to be worried about the competence of those who are even going to sit and represent an entire region?
When you talk about regional councillors of competence at the level of regional councillors, it gives me fever.
Okay.
Because incompetence has started right at the level of the Senate. The regional councillor is like an attachment. We have incompetence at the level of the Senate, at the level of the Parliament. Then talk less of regional councillors. A man who is not afraid to kill you will not be afraid to remove your teeth. If the people automatically can kick or put people who are not competent in the Senate because of their political interest and aggrandizement, they put people in Parliament who are not qualified. Is it regional councillors? Even Truck Boy can become a regional councillor as long as he's connected to the big barons. There is the national politics, there is the party politics, and there is a politics within the party. You understand? So what is happening right now is the politics within the party. A politician is against an opponent, and a politician is against another politician in the same party. What is wrong now with CPDM is character is like pregnancy. No matter how you struggle to hide it, it will soon grow out one day. CPDM has played mafia against other political parties in this country.
And the mafia is eating
it is not eating them. They used to say if a pig gives birth and does not find something to eat, it will eat the piglets. Now that the CPDM has been caught in between themselves, the party politics they play against all political parties now is playing among themselves, which means that the lion can turn around to devour its cub when it finds out that there's no prey around. So what is happening right now is that the people who are in the system are the stronger political elites manipulating the ones who are at the lower range. This is a party politics, and we can sing and sing and sing and sing and sing. Yeah, but there are people who call the shots in that political party.
Yeah, but isn't it also curious that when you consider the context in which the country finds itself, this is a country that is coming out of the major national dialogue that lasted from the 30th of September to the 4th of October, with the hope of moving towards a new direction. We see the efforts and the concern that the President of the Republic has to ensure that things get out of going by the policies and speeches, and then we find persons who still are showing every indication that they are acting in complete disregard to the dispositions of the Constitution and the personality of the President of the Republic. How do we understand that now?
The issue is to understand that we must put it in mind that people have their individual agenda. And when I listen to Apostle and Fai talk, generalize the CPDM party and some elite to be on the same pot of soup, to me it doesn't tie yet, because we've seen some of these top regime barons voicing out their concern and even at the level of national dialogue. Some of them even advocated for federation at the major national dialogue. They were members of this. They are members of the same CPDM party. We see the level which when we look at, I'm not talking about Benamoki as though it's a godsend, but I just want us to be honest here in terms of I was giving Fako as a case study. Now look at the development factor that was done in Boya. He did not do that simply because he was just at the level of CPDM party. He was a CPDM male. He was doing that because he was saving his community and giving his community what they need at the time. So in terms of what individuals have the right to belong to a political party, and they have a right as an individual to have their own mission and vision of their people, because they are not leading by that political party, but they are leading by their people. And coming to the major national dialogue that we just had, and looking at the fact that the recommendation were made in terms of so that we can be implemented to resolve the ongoing armed conflict in the north and southwest, the challenges we have in east region, and the one we have in north region, the Boko Haram insurgency, in which they felt that one of effective or what is called accelerated decentralization should be the backbone, which implies that regional council elections should be called up to fit into this. And when we look at this context, we see top regime barons and elites, specifically in Fako. I will use Fako as a case study, because when you go to some divisions in north and southwest, in some divisions in north and southwest region, you will not see this kind of dirty politics being played as the case is in Fako, where people handpick house help. Yeah, it is not bad. There is no specific qualification for you to become a regional council or educational qualification. You must not have a certain first degree. You must not have a certain that to become. But the challenge now comes on when a political party has the sole right to bring its candidate. There are politics who have to play. And when we want to sing the praises or want to condemn, we can only condemn when we had a platform where different political parties still have the power to challenge. But in this context where the CPDM party has a sole power between the entire Fako, Kmer, and Indian division and all the like to bring in their candidate, it is but obvious that their party politics will play. And when we have few individuals within that rank that who are coming out to denounce this practice, I think we should give them an olive branch to say, okay, thank you that you are realizing it. Maybe you should join us, champion this cause, so that we see a better change of Cameroon. But when we see these individuals, we want to instead clamor on the saying that no, they are doing this for politics. There's politics in everything. Even speaking here, we are doing politics. There's politics in everything. But when you see an action that ties with what you have been advocating for, nothing stops you to say, hey, thank God you are realizing. I think it's time good enough for us to join our voice to yours and call this short, and so that things can be achieved. And the petitions that have been called in Fako division, lots have been sent to Yaoundé. And let me be honest, whether it's solved positively or not, it will go down to the annals of history that Belamoki stood and called for an objective criteria for members to be selected at the regional council, and history will judge each individual based on their act and deed, not on the party politics. If you are giving money as a mayor of Boya to go and give water to your community under the CPDM party, you don't give you you as an individual is the one who will be held responsible, accountable, not the party. Generally, we call the party, but we see you as a mayor. So at this point in time, my view is that when we see individuals who, by the difficulties of their party, still come up and say, okay, let us find for an objective criteria, it is good for us to give them olive branch. History will judge us that fight stood here and call for an effective criteria. So when we see these people, we should give them happy and while condemning the condemnable and appreciate the appreciable.
Okay, Mr. Young, even though we talk from within the CPDM party, is this a full display of a cabal that has taken the nation hostage and is struggling to maintain itself? Because you say, I don't know whether it's you say at the level of the Senate, we saw that display. At the House of Assembly, we still saw the display, and this same cabal is struggling to position its members at the level of the regional council so that they have full control of whatever has to be done with administration in Cameroon.
It is just simple. There is a carefully calculated attempt to put in place a cabal system that takes the country hostage and determine how the country goes and not how it is supposed to go. Now, if you look at it carefully, it's not only the Senate, I'll add even Parliament, even the council elections. There are various councils where you have mayors that you never dreamed that they could be mayors. You were asking what criteria was used for them to become mayor. You cannot understand. And that's why the output is not even there. There are many who metamorphosized overnight and became parliamentarians. How it happens, you cannot tell. There are few who actually work for it, but there are many that they came overnight. You only got investiture telling you this is your mayor, you have to move through it, and they pump all the money for the mayor to go through. So it is a system that has been acting like this from time immemorial. That's why for me, I don't want us to look at it as if it's changed because A raised the point. It means we should start clapping that A has raised the point when nothing is changing on the ground. We are looking at cause-effect approaches, not even just an aspect of mere saying. Now, if you look at what we're talking on the ground, I said from the beginning, anything regarding regional election is a farce. I will say this today, tomorrow, and after tomorrow. That one we don't even need to speak about on our map. Why am I saying so? If you look at it critically, the system of so-called whether it's advanced digitalization as Jarvis, my brother, accelerated digitalization, those words are just jargons thinking that they're talking to primary school children. Let the Yaoundé go and sit down. Because we know all those jargons. How do you explain? How do you explain that in the regions, citizens of council appointed, president decree? In the regions, GOs are appointed, agents are appointed, president decree. Still in the region. And at the end of the regional house, you have some executive members who will be appointed by the state. While GOs themselves are there to lord over those issues with governors, and at the same time, city council officials are still, my God, let us look at this issue. This is Cameroon. Do this way Yami think that we have become nincompoos? That they can just use words metaphorically, put us Yaoundé, Douala, Garoua, and think that we should sit there becoming for them. Anybody who is dreaming on digitalization, whether it's accelerated digitalization or fast digitalization or fast digitalization, is wasting his time because we are just wasting our energy here. Those things are waste of budget that will not do us any good. Solve Anglophone crisis is important. Jarvis said something here. I'm sorry to cut you. That digitalization, would have been the people thought that it would go a long way to solve the crisis.
No, you say not solve, my brother. You say you don't believe in decentralization.
It is not going to do anything.
What form of government is the CRM proposing?
No, what is the form of government? In the first place, when you're not very close to the people, you start talking about federation. Unless I'm not talking well. That's the first thing. And for CRM,
that's what CRM
even said that for the form of talk about federation. And then when you are asked about the form of federation, CRM said that the people will decide. Because the people are supposed to decide as form of government. You don't sit in the Yaoundé and you carve out something in a crooked national dialogue. You say this is the form of national dialogue. One, digitalization. Clauses are not even clear. Clauses are entangled in their own clauses themselves. At the end of it, people think we are fools. If people want to clap here for digitalization, it means you have a lot of energy to clap for wrong things.
Okay, Apostle, so you say that this cabal and but Apostle, we saw a high-profile militant of the CRM, of the CPDM, resign yesterday, saying that he is not happy with the way the selection process, even openly accusing the Secretary General of the CPDM party. Do you also think that those who are not satisfied with the way things are done within the party should copy his example? Does it also show beyond reasonable doubt that the investiture has opened up very, very big cracks within the structures of the CPDM.
What you call high-profile militant of the CPDM, I wish to ask if it is from the CPDM angle or from your angle.
No, he's a member of the Central Committee.
Mr. Lou, let me learn now.
He's not. He's a member of the
Central Committee.
It's in category.
It's in category.
There's upper Central Committee and lower Central Committee.
Let us learn.
But Sachi Julius is not here to.
That's why we are crying. He would have been here.
Classification.
He would have been here.
So no, but Sachi was supposed to be here. It seems as if he did not make it from Yaoundé because he called that he was on his way from Yaoundé. Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I'm asking if the high profile is from your angle or from the angle of the party. Because the high profile you are talking could be that a person is a personality in the nation. But when you get to the CPDM Central Committee,
the cabal
is not in the is not a member of the people who call the shots. Yeah. You know, Jesus Christ had 7 dimensions of relationship. He related with the multitude, and then with 5,000, and then with 70, and then with 12, and then with 3, and then with 1. So when you call somebody a high profile, he may be a high, but there are higher profile members and the highest profile members. Now, number 2, does the resignation from the party create any crack? Does it make any meaning? Does it stop the party from carrying out its activities? Because a party that is never carrying out its activities by meritocracy is not bothered about the departure of anybody, because nothing is merited in the party. Everything is tailored, manufactured, and just put in place, like statue being manipulated or a TV screen being directed by a remote controller. I think if the issue of the person who resigned had anything to do with the party would have been jittery. When President Maurice Kamto said he was going to march, the government positioned everywhere with military forces. That was something that came and shook them. This man said he's resigning. It doesn't make any impact in the party. It doesn't change any situation. And since I went to school, there are things I did not learn in school that I've learned now in Cameroon. I have heard of advanced democracy. I never studied anywhere. Now I'm hearing of accelerated decentralization.
These guys will kill us here.
You see, I like our country. It's a country that uses words to manipulate the minds of the people.
Insurrection.
Accelerated decentralization. The acceleration is to collect secretaries and house girls and put them to lead people who have gone to school. That's the acceleration. Oh, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. God will help our nation. This nation is ours, and God will help this nation.
Now, Tamai Jarvis, going by what is happening in the regions as far as selecting the candidates for the regional elections is concerned, an exercise where political elites from Yaoundé are highly accused of actually choosing those to represent the regions. Can we also deduce from there that this is the same methods that information is transmitted to Yaoundé? That is, they come down and then tell Yaoundé what they think.
You have just answered it. It is the same method. That information are channeled to Yaoundé. Let me give you examples. We had the young commission that went to the field and said, the head of state has sent me to come and do fact findings and see how we can resolve the ongoing Anglophone crisis. And when he went back, they had their own report. It's like you go into a police station and you do a complaint, and why you have a different statement that was made. And you come now, you see the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Ataganji, who came now to the field with olive branches and singing the song of peace, peace, peace under the head of state. At the end of the day, we saw now the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph Dongute, who said the head of state has sent him to come and dialogue, that we are ready for dialogue. And at the same time, the Minister of Territorial Administration was talking on international media, said the head of state, there will not be any dialogue with those guys. Then we saw now the MND, the announcement of the major national dialogue, where the Prime Minister said, okay, they were receiving delegations to want to understand what the people need. shockingly, the same FACO is a miracle working division. The same FACO, if God bless FACO, because the same FACO which people stood and said they want 10-state federation, 4-state federation, 2-state federation unanimously. But these same elites of all ages went to Yaoundé, met the prime minister, and sang the praise that the people of FACO want accelerated decentralization. So it tells you that it's the same method that the information is living from the grassroots to the headquarters. Now it is left now for the few objective political elite in the same FACO to take the common man, to lead the common man and let the common man understand that all hope is not lost yet. And that's what Mbelamoki is doing and the rest are doing, to let them understand that all hope is not lost yet, that we are of the elite, we feel your pain, and we want that it should be objective. And that's why I'm telling Fai and senior apostle here that when we see act like this, it doesn't mean that these people don't have their own political agenda. But however, does it meet up with what we are advocating for objective criteria in terms of selecting members of a regional council? If the answer is yes, then we should give them an extension while telling them that we still need more, as Oliver Twist, to be done, rather than just saying that no, they are saying that a viper cannot give birth to something that is not a viper. Yes, sometimes a viper can give birth to a non-viper depending on the hybrid. If the hybrid method is done and it happens, we have crossbreeding, and it is this point in time that we are doing crossbreeding. The crossbreeding we are doing to let Mbelamoki and the rest who are objective enough to say that please galvanize the common man and let more petition be sent to Yaoundé. Maybe we change the strategy and let the few elite who must gauge the future of FACO youth to understand that this is the time that the youth whom have been relegated are standing up now to say no, enough is enough. Maybe
we must understand that the frustrations are nationwide and not only FACO.
I'm just more concerned with FACO.
Good evening, Lamesh John from Wabane subdivision. When elders who are leaders of a generation begin to see black and call white, then the generation is dumb. We are dead in Cameroon who have they inherited this politics from that they want to destroy this generation. CPDM does not destroy Cameroon. Ask the rulers of that party. Okay. Good evening. It is Titi in Yaoundé. The DO and the mayors are campaigning for school resumptions. I've heard no school resumptions in Bengui Momo division. Why? Okay. Good evening. I'm Kong from Belu. Mr. Liu, thanks a lot for you and your guests. I tell that young journalists that good positions are not bought by making bones where they do not exist. Let him listen to his elders and seniors in wisdom. Stop calling, please. When you call, I can't read. Good evening. Is preaching Viv and Sam, yet I watched a news today after they saw how some Northwest citizens residents in FACO division were asked whether they brought any land from the Northwest before they are complaining about their land issues in Southwest. This, according to them, were reactions from the senior divisional officer and the divisional officer following their complaints. If they now launch a strike action, it will be the same government. Okay. Shambi is writing from Gaundiri. Greetings to all in the all the panelists. Please, can you kindly tell Mr. Fai to speak at the pace we can hear what he is saying? We are trying to learn something. Deloy is writing from Bafang. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Papa. Oops. Much. It says Oliver is writing from Limbe. Oliver. Yeah, it's not good. Good evening, my media prime. One of my brothers there is talking about history in Cameroon. What happened to 1961? Was that not history? Thanks to the Anglophone crisis. This one says, I am Simon in Kumba. Senator Mbelamoki Charles is saying, as a politician in the field in the Southwest, please can also talk about politics in our own areas, that is in the Northwest. Okay. Hello there in the studio is Desmond Gong in Bamenda. Just want to say Cameroon is okay. My name is Edmond one from Bamenda. I want to support the fact that no political leader has no right to take decisions over people without him or her has not been selected by his or her people. A dogmatic feature Edmonda. Good evening to you all in the studio. All actions are first conceived in our thinking, therefore a wrong thinking gives birth to a wrong action. Noel writing from Bankolo in Yaoundé. Good evening. Prime, you people are exciting. This Cameroon, impossible n'est pas Cameroon. I'm enjoying you. I salute Mr. Fa and Apostle. Okay. Clovis is writing from Mutengene. Many persons across Cameroon are not very happy because to them most of those that have been selected are persons that have gone on retirement. The same persons still filling positions. Where then is the future, the hope of the youth?
You know that from time immemorial, we have always had the statement that youths are the future of tomorrow. That statement was made before I was born. I have gray hair today. The statement is still going on. And I'm beginning to wonder whether I will fight the position with my son. And I seem not to understand that statement any longer. You realize we once said here on this panel that the position of youth has been relegated to the background such that the system has made youth to become beggars, so that when scenarios of the negative things arrive or arises, the youth now can be used to mount the machinery that will keep the old in power, like rigging of elections, carrying out street manifestations, and anything that has to do by as far as keeping an individual in power is concerned. And that's where it becomes the worry. Where do we have the position reserved for the youth in the country? The main issue here, as we said, is that while we keep complaining, we have said on several platforms that the youth should not sit to complain because they must come out of their shelves. If you sit and think that picking up a 10,000 francs to go and carry multiple votes, turn behind one area, and you drink 5, 6, 7 bottles of beer and the whole thing is over, it means that you don't yet know what you are doing. If you think you have to fold your arm as a youth, and then you are waiting on the government will never encourage you because they do everything the government does, politics is inside, which is not supposed to be so because development is supposed to be development. I have seen where back to school is going on and instead CPDM things are being displayed. It doesn't speak well. That is the scenario we have in the country. If you go to Kamer, the back to school was a very excellent campaign. But I said clearly that when you take school and you mix with politics, it becomes a question mark as to whether truly you want the children to go to school for the sake of love or for the sake of CPDM. These are two things we are mixing in this country. And that's why I said that as we move on, the position of the youth has been kept to the background. And we keep sensitizing. Youths are supposed to take the bull by the horn. Some of us speak every day. We bear risk. We go through all whatnot. It's not because we love bearing the risk. Life is precious to everybody. But if some of us risk imprisonment, we risk all of that, it's because we think that as youths, they could come together. You even hear a defined words, and you say, but where are we? We are sleeping. Imagine that if youths constitute about 65% of the population of this country, it means that the youths, if they want a change will come. So, but now that the youths are not willing because first, they have been relegated to the background and they accept their position, let us just be beggars. I sit because I want to go into professional school. And somebody calls me, can you join ruling party? I say yes. You see, I think things are not supposed to be from within. Or somebody calls me and tells me, Mr. Tayon, you know, if you want to be appointed here, all right, sing this song and you get this thing. It's not from your will. So the output can never be reflected. That's where we talk about meritocracy that have been destroyed by the system. The regime is responsible for putting the youth where they are for reasons best known to them.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. Being an extremist and deciding not to see anything good from the enemy's camp is wickedness. Mbela Moki is a member of the CPDM party, but also an elite of a community. People may manipulate their way through politics crookedly because it's a way of gaining power to cause a change. Mbela Moki is one of such. He has done a lot to cause change, just that is at a certain level. He may be limited being alone. He is positive and this must be acknowledged without party bias. Tiku Felix, writing from Boya. Tiku Felix is, is one of the panelists we have. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panel. This government is not serious. Randy is writing from Bamenda. Tabot Machiavelli says, Grand National Dialogue is another jargon in Cameroon. Tabot is writing from Yaoundé. Intong Ivo says, hello there. Intong Ivo. This one says, hello to the crew. on board. More grease to your elbows for the educative exchanges you are diffusing over the media. What I don't understand is why Cameroon are advocating for either federation or complete independence, but yet the government keeps on providing her cosmetic solutions. Shambi is writing from Ngaoundéré. Mr. Leo, greetings to everyone. Please tell Jarvis that he doesn't need to continue seeking favors from government. Okay. He says, read my message. Defang is writing from Limbe. That is why I'm reading the message. I don't think he is seeking for any favors, please. My name is Ceci, writing from Limbe. Good day, my children. Please, please, please. This country needs Papa God's hand, for the country is in confusion. I can no longer understand. Okay. Good evening to you, Ceci, writing from Limbe. Senator Mbila Moki is progressive and frank. I appreciate him for that. Fombi Michael is writing from Bomenda. Apostle Ambe, do you think, like Far Evis, that the youths themselves are not taking up their responsibilities, and because from what he's saying, nobody will give it to them on the platter of gold?
How do you expect the youth to take over responsibilities? Because we have to be very, very sincere. The youth have tried everything possible in this nation to take up their responsibility, and every time, every method used, they have not been able to give to have their way. For instance, some have protested in the street and they were locked up. That's a way of presenting your worries to the government. They have gone to school, attempted to write the entrance exams, yet no way out. We have come on the media trying to discuss the plight of the youths. It's falling on deaf ears. So when we see the youths are not taking their responsibility, it amazes me, because why? Cameroonian youths are very educated. At least even those who dropped out of school have gone back to school, and they are littered everywhere in the country. You will not see it's a nation where people are not interested in education. Every Cameroonian is educational driven. Now, people are not even getting the results of the education, and you expect them to get what? That's the reason you see a majority of the youth in this country are flying out of the country. Before we will come to the next topic, we are going to be talking about the issue of ENAM. You will see the frustration of so many youths. You will discover that. Let me not get into that first. So when we talk about the youth, I don't want to run into the second topic. So I cannot blame any Cameroonian youth, because as a matter of fact, many youths even have forgotten about the government as a whole. They are trying to make their way out. We have youths who are opening plantations today, others creating businesses, others opening firms here and there, and they are trying to use their potentials to create their personal income, which I think is the best way to develop an economy. But now, on the other hand, will the government even allow these youths to excel in the private sector? They keep heaping upon them heavy taxes, and they get so disappointed. We have not been given the chance to be employed in the state, to work in the government. Now that we are falling on the private sector, why don't you allow the youth to excel very well in the private sector? Taxes are being followed even to somebody who is doing salon in the street, somebody who is a hairdresser, somebody who is shaving hair of 500. They are asking him tax. To pay what kind of tax? A friend of mine is in Canada. He says, until you open a company, it will last at least 4 years until the states begin to realize you are making some certain amount of profit. That's when they start asking you taxes. Here you are still having exoneration for 1 year. The next year they say if you don't declare, you have to pay. You pay a tax that you have not done any job. So the youths are in between the devil and the deep blue sea. The works are not coming from the government. They have fallen into the private sector to create way out. Taxes are not even letting them work the way out.
Okay, we are going to be moving on to our second topic for tonight, which has to do with the results as published by ENAM. Many tongues are wagging across the nation. People are crying and asking when the results are going to reflect the true performances of those who took the exams. We are going to be asking ourselves questions. What is not right with ENAM? Is it that it is a school that has as mission to always do things the other way around?
I'll go by the words of, excuse me, Honorable Joshua Osi, that ENAM needs to meet should be closed down. Because when we look at what is happening and we look at the reality on the ground, first of all, we should not just blame the reaction of ENAM. We should blame what pushed ENAM many to turn to ENAM, because they say to every action there's an equal but opposite reaction, and this is coming because of Cameroon's educational system. Our educational system, how professional is our educational system, in such a way that many people who tend to want to follow professionalism, that matricule-oriented syndrome, because this is happening because majority of the youth are matricule oriented. Everybody feels like the only thing to get yourself in Cameroon is to get a matricule, and so we tend to ENAM. And so when we get to ENAM, it doesn't favor us. We feel bitter. We feel there's a lot of hatred, bitterness, anger. But the problem now is how professional is our educational system. To me, if we have a good educational system that do hands-on training in such a way that ourselves we will not focus on looking at just the ENAM, it will go a long way. And secondly, those who are in handling ENAM, they too are not doing the state favor, because we are looking for Cameroon is at the crossroad now. All those who are manning higher institutions that deals with concours should be at this level to even close their eyes for just 4 years, or just do editions of the writing session and do the right thing. Because at this point in time, Leonard, look at the composition of the names and regional balance. It's a mockery of examination. You want to tell me that one region is more intelligent and more highly intelligent than the southwest region, than the entire nation? How can one region, Master, we need to deliver. How can one region take 76% of those? Is it that they have a different curriculum, different from the way the ENAM curriculum is being set across the nation? Look at North and Southwest region, 4%. So are you telling us or telling me that those in North and Southwest region who wrote the ENAM concours are too dull in such a way that we cannot at least have a 10% or a 15%? So it's a system, as far we say. But in that system, when we see individuals that rise up to challenge the system within the system, I think we should appreciate them. Now, coming to the crux of the matter, as I rightly said, that to every action there's an equal but opposite reaction. The action is coming because of our educational system. If we have an educational system that is hands-on, an educational system that is highly professional, an educational system that focuses on the strength of the people than the weaknesses, we will go a long way. Look at how state university recruit. If you don't have a certain level of points, you cannot do a certain level of programs, and those who apply for certain with their passion, they are being removed and sent to field to that second or third choice that they don't have passion for. At the end of the day, we end up having graduates without passion, and we are training more of intelligent thieves than people with morals. Even morality is lacking in our educational system. That's why even those who pass the ENAM, how objective are they going to serve the interests of Cameroonians? I would not have had a problem if those who are selected in ENAM actually do the job. But I have a problem because those who are selected in ENAM end up going to the way which they are not supposed to go. By one, preaching divide and rule, marginalization, and the rest. We have seen the result. But the crux of the matter here is that it is the prerogative of the state, if the state wants to stamp out a way, or because there is a way you can solve an ENAM issue by first of all looking at the educational system. If you have an educational system that is mostly hands-on, it will help to give youth the skills, and secondly reduce the taxes. How many of these sub-businesses youth have the ability to do business? Yes, but taxes are not there.
Let us look at this issue of regional balance. This is a policy that has been so dear to Cameroon, and we find a complete non-respect for this policy at the highest level. We are talking about ENAM. This is a school that produces the administrators, the administrative elite of the country. How do we explain that at a time that Cameroon is faced with a myriad of problems, especially when it comes to our living together, especially when we talk national integration, at a time when a people feel so marginalized and alienated from the national, the distribution of the national cake, we find the publication of results that actually exposes the complete nonchalant respect for this concept of regional balance.
Well, you know that in the first place, the problem we have with Cameroon is that issues are easily put on paper than practically. That's why it's a kangaroo system. Because we talk about the regional balance issues, if you look at it, on paper, as per the constitution, it's not.
Yeah, but why would the director not respect this? It's dear to the nation.
No, he will not. Do you know why? He will not, because the system is functioning with. We talk about cabal in the first topic. There's a cabal clique that controls everything out of the constitution of the country and goes scot-free. That we must be able to accept. Because do you think the director himself lies to do what he's doing? Do you think if he knows that his boss, he himself, director of ENAM, the boss is public service or whatever, you think that if he knows that this is what he will do, and reported by his boss, he will do it? No. It's because when these things come, there are high-profile persons cabal who fit in names. We want to say, they say, no, Mesa, come on, donate. You have no choice because they are your bosses. So the system has been carefully cooked out. So we are blaming the director of ENAM. Just like the state media did their own appointment the other day, and you see it was one-sided. Until some people were even justifying as if the regional balance is not an issue.
No, that information was false because he
came out. They came out. Now, so if you look at it critically, you realize that any system that I'm bringing a sense that any system that goes the way people complain and does not get any position from anywhere, know that it is a system that is coming from within on high instructions from the people who are supposed to bring it to order. There was a time when we talked about when Peter Mafanu Musoke was even prime minister at one point in time, when they were writing the issue of ENAM. There was a time he ordered when they locked the soul of the children as prime minister. That order was not respected. Now, if it was under another system, the director of ENAM would have been present at that time. But the director of ENAM told him that he is the head here and not the prime minister. And the people who came 5 years late were not accepted to come in, and the case died like that. So, in a nutshell, is to let you know that all what we're talking about, the ENAM results and all the like. If you see persons, sometime at the police concours in Mutengana, we had people who were recruited more than the required numbers. And then they started training. It's only because of training that they had to send some few after they had undergone 2 months training that they did not come to the right channel. Some of those people came out because their number was not powerful, were uprooted from the school. Those whose number were powerful stayed there and went through and got into the system when they were not supposed to be in the system. So, in a nutshell, we could be saying what we are saying here today and after tomorrow, but the system is porous from the beginning. If you want things to change and to make us save the energy from talking every day on air, the system in Yaoundé needs to change. As long as that very system in Yaoundé is operating with the same people in place, only being changed, of course, they only move you from here to this place, from this place to this place, we will be wasting time. So that director of ENAM, we are only blaming him, but we don't know the stress he has gone through, because the person who puts you and your bosses will tell you, take these names for one reason or the other. You don't have a choice. So that's where we find ourselves here. Though we blame him, but in a serious country, since as this school is under public service, we shall have maybe the minister of public service coming out, or we shall have the prime minister coming out, suspending those things, and even calling the director to order. But now, where are we? Under what condition was even the director appointed? That's why we say that when you appoint people without meritocracy, you appoint them on tribal lineage, you appoint them on political lineage and compensation basis. What do you expect? They have no choice than to dance to your tune. So anything that comes from you, they are forced to take. They cannot even tell boss, but I was thinking that this thing is one-sided. What do we do? So that's where we find ourselves, and so we're harvesting what the state has sown for over 40 years.
Apostle Ambe, where therefore is a place of meritocracy? Oh, are we saying that the people of a particular region, division, are so intelligent that they mastered the art of answering ENAM posed questions more than the rest of the other 9 regions, or 8 regions of this country?
Mr. Leo, before we get to the ENAM results or talking about a particular region being most intelligent, we should be able to go back to the archives of the educational sector of the country,
okay,
and be able to ascertain the public exams of the country. You will discover that from HND to ordinary levels to A levels, we've always gotten the best results from the Northwest and the Southwest. It is amazing that those same students from the North and South will come out with outstanding results, go to write ENAM report, they were more than in school, and then they defeat them. And if I will continue, I want to give the reports of the ENAM results for the year, because it's important Cameroonians understand that we are living in a system whereby if your brother is not on top of a black plum tree, you are not even permitted to eat the plum. I mean, eating it at all for eating the ones that are black. Look at the result of ENAM the year 2020. Center region has 76%. That's South. Center has 76%. 76. Northwest and Southwest have 4%. Eastern region has 3%. Western and Coastal region has 7%. The Northern Far North and Adamawa has 10%. Look at the results of ENAM in 2020. 76% from Center.
Center South.
Center South. 10% from the 3 Grand North. 4% from Northwest and Southwest. 3% from the East. And then Coastal and South, 7%. Put together makes 100%. Are you telling us that people from Center region are the genius of this nation? And then you go to the names of successful candidates in order of demerit, not merit. Should I read it?
No, just make your analysis, please.
Because it's dangerous. You will imagine that names are outlined in a particular result. You have about 6 people from the same family with similar names that come from the same family, and the name is connected to the boss of such an institution. You are telling us that it is meritocracy. It's not meritocracy. As a matter of fact, in this nation, you don't pass exam based on intelligence. You pass exam based on connection. You don't need to be intelligent to pass an exam. You just need to know somebody to pass an exam. And now, when the brain is no longer the measuring rod for qualification, it gives us a reason why the kind of people who are in leadership are taking us backward instead of forward. Solomon says, I have seen an evil under the sun. Kings are trekking on foot while slaves are on horses. It means the people who are not competent to carry activities because of connection, manipulation, and all kinds of rigmarolling, they are into responsibilities that they are not even competent. It will shock you that some people who are even into this result did not even write the exams. Why? Because the system has so much been carved in a way that you are just supposed to know somebody to determine your future in the country. We are in a situation whereby the intelligent are more frustrated, while the dunces are in responsibility because they are connected to one person or another. So what about meritocracy is a serious problem. I said here the last time that one of the dangers that is in nation of Cameroon is because we have decided to leave the subject of regional balance in the hands of certain godfathers. Before you will pass ENAM, it is a godfather of a particular region that has to decide if you will pass. Which means if the most stupid person is connected to the godfather and the most intelligent person is not connected, the idiot will go to the parliament and into the school while the intelligent man wallows the streets selling puff and beans. The brains that we need to push the nation forward are somewhere pushing trucks in the street, while the man who has no brain because he's connected is given a chance to take the responsibility. What is wrong with our nation? I used to ask a question several times. Did something go wrong when this nation was created? Did something go wrong? I'm asking this question sincerely because I don't understand how people who are very competent and qualified, they are not the ones sitting in the place of authority. Instead, men who have no understanding are the ones even given the opportunity to take up responsibility. Please, meritocracy is a word that's supposed to be removed from the dictionary of Cameroon. If we have to write a Cameroonian dictionary, meritocracy should be removed. We should introduce new words like accelerated decentralization as well as advanced democracy, because those are words that we created in this nation to fit into systems of government that do not exist in the world.
Okay, special greetings to you, my father, His Royal Majesty Kang Samuel Jimbong, who is watching the program. We send special greetings to you. How do you understand that this is happening even in the heart of the ongoing Anglophone crisis, where people think that they have consistently been relegated to the background, and then at this moment, when the country is looking for ways out of its current impasse, we have 4% of Anglophones declared admissible.
Mr. Liu, do you think that such an issue will be resolved with the current dispensation we have now, in terms of the regional balance, then you are making a mistake. We only have regional balance when, to me, when an Anglophone becomes the president of Cameroon. At that point in time, maybe we'll have the opportunity to turn the hands of time. As far as the cabal, which senior apostle said is still in control, we will still have this. And it just tells us that some of those in Yaoundé don't want the crisis to end. Because not just the crisis, and there's what we call mitigating circumstances. Mitigating circumstances are those little things you do in terms of crisis, in terms of problems, that help to at least quell down tension, that helps to give the common man hope, that help to tell the judge that, hey, this person acted a bit, at least in good faith, not in bad faith. But when we see an action where 4% of North and Southwest region, we are not saying that you should give us 20%. And what is wrong even giving us 20% as an entire region has 70% or 76%? Nothing is wrong giving us 20 or 30%. The only issue you see here is that there are people who believe that Anglophones will still remain the third class in this Cameroon and will still remain a begging people who are running behind Vivian Sam. To them, we have a problem. We are the people that should run behind the Vivian Sam. I think the problem in Cameroon, as I've always been telling people, is that it is not Vivian Sam. The problem in Cameroon is Mahjong and Sam. That's the problem in Cameroon. And ENAM is showing us that we are not eating together. Because if we are eating together, we will not have that 4%. We will not have that 76% in another region. It's not just North and Southwest region. Look at the other regions like Far North. The population of Far North, just look at Far North and Adamawa region. Let's go by populational distribution. They control a good number of population comes from those regions. How many percent do they have? 10%. But look at the central region. So do you think the people of Far North don't want to vive and Sam with the entire people of South region with central region with 76%? They want to vive and Sam. But the issue now is Mahjong and Sam. When you start have this discrepancy, this big distance, it causes what we call a structural violence. This is a structural violence. Structural violence is when when a certain group of people feel like they are more intelligent than the other and start depriving minority group of their right to justice, their right to merit. And when this happens, it causes the common man to suffer, and the common man suffers, dies at the end of the day. This is what people fail to understand. Violence is not just take a weapon and shoot at somebody. No, violence is that system where I see fire service here, I see that fire service need water, and I don't give fire service water. At the end of the day, fire service staff and dies. What's the end point? He dies. If I take a stone and shoot at fire service and he dies, what's the end point? He dies. So the bottom line of violence is that the action will lead to a reaction which is death. So at the end of the day, we must look at the objective of Cameroon. What's objective is to make Viva and Sam effective. Okay. The effectiveness of Viva and Sam cannot just come without Mahjong and Sam. So that Mahjong and Sam, who, to me, the conclusion is that we need an Anglophone president, because that's the only solution. Okay. We need an Anglophone president.
Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. God will bless you more and more, because since you started this program, many of us are learning a lot concerning the government and its activities. I don't understand the decentralization that you people just explained that government is planning to implement in the north and southwest. Can the state explain to us what it really means? Callistus is writing from Boya. Good evening to you, Callistus. We're going to do a special program for that. This one says higher height. My media prime is getting a wonderful coverage, and we can only say thanks to the great team. Thank you very much, Derek from Bonaberry. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Alain from Bamenda. I think we should really pray for our country, because our leadership is blind. Cameroon made up of so many ministries, but yet they don't evaluate the effectiveness of each ministry. Good evening to you, Alain. Hi, Mr. Kum and crew. One effect of this exam issue is that this 76% of students into ENAM will govern Cameroonians for more than 30 years before they retire. We are dead. Okay. Mary is writing from Boya. Anderson Ali writing from the United States says, was Cameroon really necessary? Director of ENAM had 12 relatives, all admitted. That is Cameroon for you. Good evening to you, my brother. Yeah, that's Cameroon for us. Hello, Mr. Leo. Good evening. This is Roussel writing from Tico. The youths of our country are only known by history. We may only survive through CDC, but CDC is dying. Mr. Liu, help us through this program. Okay, Rosel from Tiku, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's high time all Anglophones start preaching the gospel of. Okay, Mark is writing from Bonaberry. Mark, good evening to you. Hi there. ENAM claims to select and train the best, but management of public office is nothing to write home about. What a paradox. J.N. Agbo writing from Kumba. Special greetings to you all. This is Lapa Natasha Mama writing from Cyprus. To the Cameroon government, the only certificate they recognize is subsection president, godfather connection, and bribes. Their conscience have been bought, so to them nothing is wrong. Mr. Liu, good evening. You guys are doing your best. This government needs deliverance. Anglophones should just okay. Ashu is writing from Boya. Tiku Felix again says, Mr. Liu, what the results of ENAM is passing on is simple. The level of tribalism is being exposed. It shows that change can never come from the regime in place. Okay. Good evening to you. Is this not also provocation? And yes, but that is what somebody just wrote from Kumba. But my question before what he's saying about provocation, what I had to say is, are there persons who do not want to listen to what the President of the Republic is saying, using the name of the President of the Republic to insert names into ENAM, or the names of Chantal Bia? Yeah, why are you laughing?
Let him talk.
That's a very good question. I don't know people are not willing to. We should also ask the question, is the head of state too really willing to not to listen to them?
That's why I was laughing.
Because we have to ask this question. If people are using the name of the head of state to commit atrocities, and the state is not talking, it means that he himself too is supporting it. That's where my worry is.
That's why I was laughing, Mr. So, I know that was the angle he was going.
So you see, we might laugh, you know, when we say a system is kangaroo. The only way forward for this country is when Yaoundé changes regime. Nothing good can come from Yaoundé. Yaoundé, hear me well. Point blank. If you look at it, as I said, we are just wasting calories day in, day out, because the barons see that they are only laughing. Laisse-le, ils parlent, dès qu'ils finissent de parler, on va seulement appliquer. Qu'est-ce qu'ils vont faire? That is just what I know they are talking in Yaoundé as they are watching us. But you will discover that it is absurd that at the heart of the crisis, where people are even thinking of, let them think of a way of at least calming down the tension of marginalization, it is instead skyrocketing at a geometric rate that cannot be understood by man himself. Is to tell you that the regime in Yaoundé is not willing to divorce power towards the areas that are complaining of power tights in Yaoundé. 2, the regime in Yaoundé is totally determined to maintain another high sense of assimilation. That is it. So, if at this present stage, I pity some people who are still hoping that digitalization, ENAM, institutions, some hope. I heard my friend Javi said, at least, from the way the senator was talking, people should know that all hope is not lost. All hope is lost for those who are relying on Yaoundé. I say all hope is lost. I mean lost, you cannot even see it. It's after the moon and the sun. If you want to see the hope, you begin to take the bull by the horn. If you are relying on, let's just hope maybe it's something. Because in political science, science is something that is practical. You don't imagine things here. It's not philosophy. If you put administrative principles A, this is the result you expect. If you put good governance policy, you expect a trickling effect that will go into the educational system, as Jarvis was saying. I got Jarvis to the point of the educational system. That educational system is just minute. The problem is the kangaroo system that is determined to put in place a fake quack system that holds us, train the ENAM boys, they come out and continue being tyrants on the people.
But don't you think that some people are using the name of the president and the wife to insert some names into ENAM?
Mr. Leo, if you accept, if anybody, listen to me, accept that people are using the name of the head of state and the wife to insert names, it means Etude should resign now from talking. In fact, Etude should go and leave. Because it will be a grievous administrative error that you are head of my media prime TV and people are using your signature to carry out terrible crimes, and it goes scot-free for over 30 years with you sitting as the director of my media prime. In fact, I will fire you.
You fire me?
In fact, I will fire you with immediate effect. You can imagine what I'm saying, that if that case goes on, it means that
Cameroon is a complex country.
If Cameroon is complex, as the head of state says is complex, then those who see as complex should leave power. Let those who can reduce the complexity and make it visible, like other countries are visible, take over power. It's simple.
One minister of petroleum once said that the mathematics in Sonara is so complex that it's only him and the head of state can actually understand.
What should happen? Do we think that some years back we saw the results for Eric? They were changed and then taken that name should be added. Do we expect something to be done with respect to these results, these ENAM results, so that all the regions feel justly treated as far as representation is concerned?
When you are being coerced to do something, it is not as natural. We want a natural system of government where there will be regional balance.
No, we assume here that maybe the President of the Republic or those that matter are unaware of what is happening, and now it has been brought to their knowledge.
Okay, we accept that. We agree that they are unaware. Now it has been brought to their understanding.
Assume, yes.
Okay, we assume that they are unaware. Okay, if I thought they take a decision to like bring some names into ENAM
so that the regional balance is aptly reflected,
it will not still solve the problem. The person in question, who is the director of ENAM, should be dismissed as a sign of sincerity.
Okay.
Because I read the names of those who succeeded. People who have the names like him are almost like 12. So it is a family school, not a national school. It has become a family school that is owned by a particular family who chooses to handpick people from their family and fit into the school and then mark their results and consider them successful. I think the head of state should start by disciplining the person heading ENAM by kicking out of office. Secondly, to give us an impression that he is ignorant about it, the entire result should be cancelled and rewritten. We have cancelled A-levels in this country.
Or cancel and remarked?
Probably cancel and remark or be rewritten. That's what we're talking about, so that there should be some level of transparency and to buy his head off. Because like what Far said, if you use my signature, I'm the CEO of a company, you take my signature to go and withdraw money, I will not just take it lightly with you. I will deal with you so squarely that, because the level at which this country is right now, the president needs people around him that will help to quell down the situations in the country, not those who are pouring more petrol to already ignited flame. Because this one will tell every Anglophone who was trying to convince himself that things are getting better. We are trying to have hope that from this result, these people do not even bother if we matter or exist. This is pouring fuel to an already ignited flame. There is a way you can use to even convince and deceive a people. To me, I was thinking that with the situation on ground, they should have given the greatest percentage from the embattled regions in north and southwest to other, in order that we have actually repented from what you call marginalization. But instead, they are telling us that we are not just marginalized. Now we have entered into accelerated marginalization and advanced marginalization. Because this is how do you explain it? How do you explain that 17% come from there, from the center and south, and then 4% come from northwest? Who some people in town might enter the bush next week because of this result. They're already increasing the anger. We don't solve national matters like that. At least in many occasions, when the people get offended, it is the state that moves close to them to try to calm them down. They were supposed to be using. Listen, the government has many ways to solve this problem. Not by confronting the Anglophones directly, but by giving them opportunities indirectly. Yes, giving them opportunity and say, let them say, but people don't change you. They don't change you. Gradually, they will start dragging a following. Before you realize the majority that used to be angry, they will die down. But this one is telling us that if you were in the bush around Kwakwa, enter far in Ebunji. They boost very well because why? If 4% is given to North and South, we don't matter. We do not matter. So I think they should use this one as a means to call the attention of Anglophones that or other regions, because East, we cannot call Anglophone region. East has 3%. 3%. It means Pygmies don't know book at all. They are the least. East region has 3%. Then 3 Grand North, Marwa, Garwan, Gaundiri,
10%.
they have 10%.
And if you divide that by the proportion, it means that
It's
South is even better than
it's better than them. And then the western region and the coastal region, say about thereabout, is 7%. Which means all the other 9 regions of the country cannot be compared to one region. Oh, you're on the pool and genus. Genus.
Mr. Liu, I think
Yes.
before continuing, I want to say special good evening to Fombot who is watching us from Limbe. Mr. Liu, this is it. The problem now boils back to our elite and not our Southwest elite. They have seen this result. What are they doing?
Nobody is racing.
Nobody is racing. They have seen the result. Our elites who are advocating for Viva and Sam, who are advocating the same energy that are advocating for effective school resumption. We expect the same energy to say, hey, we cannot be fighting for the unity of the nation and you are provoking actions that are contrary to what we are fighting for. We expect people, elites, to stand up now and talk about this elite, talk about this aspect. But we don't see them. We don't even hear them. They are nowhere to be found. There is like no use to them that 4% has been handed over. Then how do you go and preach the same principle of effective decentralization to somebody in Gunuku, to somebody in Akwaya, to somebody in Agokunjama, who by just ordinary, or someone will tell you, Mami, no mind that people just say ENAM is on a 4% come over all weeks away. So at the end of the day, it plays with the mindset. Yeah. So I want to say this. Thank God I began this program by greeting the head of state who is watching us right now, and I know that something will be done with this ENAM result. Something will be done, and the result subsequently we pray and we hope that as we are doing this advocacy, this sensitization, that you listen to us. As far I always say that Yaoundé should listen to us and take down notes. They should understand that the note they should take down this time around is to look into the issue of ENAM result and see how they can reconfigure, or they see how they can redistribute, even not by meritocracy, by regional balancedocracy if it actually exists. Because since we are adding words in Cameroon, I want to add that one. Yes. So that we should have this level in which every region feel represented in such a way that why don't we have the same percentage per region? Because if we look at those who write this exam, if that to take 50 persons or 100 persons, we can still have the same percentage of those on North and Southwest region, because the population is huge in terms of those who apply. So to me, our elites, Mr. Liu, need to stand now. This is the moment we need Senator Mbelamuki to add the voice, not just in CPTM issue, but to add the voice that, hey, ENAM has come out. This is what we need. We expect somebody like Honorable Ngalaja, who have been so active in Dongaman, to come out. We expect somebody like Senior Barrister Ashu to come and join forces and say, hey, this is the time that we need this nation to move forward, and Anglophone voices need to be heard in such a way that when we are clamoring for effective, or what we call accelerated decentralization, we should be clamoring for accelerated regional balance, and we should come up for accelerated sharing of the national cake.
Okay, why all this, the truth is they look low on us. Please, let's cry to our Father in heaven. Apostle Lambe, declare a day of prayer, please. Okay, so we are going to declare a day of prayer on Prime R in the days ahead. Prime R. I don't subscribe to the regional balance. It's an extension of corruption. The problem with this country is poor leadership. It's not about your cultural background. It is the quality of the leadership. JN Agbo, good evening to you. Hi guys, more grace to your elbows. The country needs the hand of God. I'm writing from Limbe. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. We should stop playing with the intelligence of the people of the Southwest and Northwest regions. The only way forward in this country is that Yaoundé should go for peaceful dialogue, okay, with Anglophones. This is fabulous. Writing from Muyuka. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love those two men beside you. They are all saying the truth. I'm Joan, writing from Mundemba. Good evening to you, Joan. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I really love your program, sir. Greet to your panelists for me. They really master the topics. I'm Becky Chamberlain. Becky, from where this one is Franklin from Yaoundé. Please, Cameroon can never be serious. Enjoy your program. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Kuman panelists. Please, someone should help me see what crime Anglophones committed to merit all these tortures. Charles, writing from Yaoundé. Greetings to the guys in the studio. Fobi Dennis says, hi, Mr. Ambe, who caused the retrogression. Are you saying the revolution should stop and the southern Cameroonians have not been deprived? Okay. We are wasting time talking about Cameroon and current leadership. Bulu Kabal, okay. This one says, good evening, Mr. Leo. The audio is selling after the market wagon writing from Limbe. Please adjust the audio system. Okay, thank you very much, but I'm sure that has been fixed. Good evening. It's most disgraceful system put in place on the planet Earth. Even the devil is surprised. Okay. Emmanuel, writing from Boya. Ikomengale, writing from Boya, says Faku CPDM 3 is burning. God bless you once more. For real, Apostle Ambe has spoken it all. That is how the government operates the economy of Cameroon. He who has a godfather eats what the elders. Okay. Messages are just coming too many. Now, what is the way out when it comes to concours? Not only ENAM. What should be the criteria for selection?
The criteria is simple. One, they should go back to revisit the original balance notes books.
Okay.
As point number one. Point number two, they should be able to make the institutions very active in the country, whereby people should fit within their sphere of influence, so that they should be able to shoulder responsibilities where things go wrong. Do you know why this ENAM thing is complicating? Because the number of actors who are involved in the mafia are so many. That's why no action can be taken. Had it been the director of ENAM, he alone took upon himself this initiative, it would have been easier even for the Minister of Public Administrative Reforms to call him to order. It would have been easier for the Prime Minister to call him to order. But since as is a chain of kangaroo movement carefully put in place to take this country hostage, the case will not go anywhere far. So at the end of it, if these Yaoundé people are the 2D, think that they want to help this country, all these ENAM things with ENAM boys flying left to right and be very arrogant as they train them there, or what from their output we see, they should leave those issues. What matters now is the current crisis. But their actions are showing that they are not even willing to. The indicators on the ground. I think Yaoundé thinks that the Anglophone is a foolish man. We are very intelligent. From their actions on the ground, it tells you that the agenda of solving the crisis is far-fetched.
Okay.
But one of the things that can go faster, if we want to solve the problem, is if we replace all these belly politicians, elites in Yaoundé, who call themselves Anglophones. I say all of them. I repeat again, all of them are working for their stomach. That's why they don't have the power it takes to cough and say things outrightly. They will only be giving blame to different directions and be approaching to different directions during the central cause. They themselves should be left aside, and we have neutral elites.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. The 4% awarded for the 2 Anglophone regions is because they have been for 3 years without school. Charles is writing from Kumba. Wow. Paddy Asanga says that all Anglophones at the home front should be listening to people like Apostle Ambe. ENAM should be scrapped. Okay, he's writing from Germany. Good evening to you, Paddy Asanga. We're glad to know that you are always there watching and sending your own encouragement. My brother, good. In fact, I like your programs. Our country, Cameroon, can't change. Will be very difficult, because if they bring another one, they will do the same. Joan Mejo, writing from Tico. Good evening to you. We are out of time. Let's listen to Charles Kebwa filing from Womb on the situation of school resumption in Menchum Division.
Yeah, welcome to Menchum Division, where we're talking day 3 back to school in this division, where turned out in most of the schools we visited in Wom and in Way, Fungam subdivision, in Mentum division of the Northwest region. Both the learners and the teachers in these schools are out actually to deal with the school boycott operation, which has paralyzed education in Mentum and the Northwest region in the past 4 years. With many pupils and students looking forward to recover from the lost education that for the past 4 years they had actually not been able to execute. Just to tell you equally, also, this day as we were in some of these schools, we equally found the disinfectants of most of the schools carried out by the district medical officer for the Wom District Hospital in the presence of Dr. Ibako Elome, together with his entire team. And all what he said was that they want to ensure that the coronavirus is actually free from schools. This testing, disinfectant and testing equally was in conjunction with ensuring that some of the teachers also were tested, to ensure that coronavirus is actually free from campus. Just to tell you that in Mentum division, the number of pupils and students as compared to day one back to school has increased, and registration in most of the schools are actually on progress, very progressive. School authorities envisage more pupils and students, in the days ahead. Just to tell you that the days ahead in Mentum division seems very promising for the 2020-2021 school academic year. And to tell you that despite the threat posed by the coronavirus to schools, school administrators, administration has, actually made it a must as an obligation that, the wearing of mask, the wearing of face mask and washing of hands on a campus is a must. That is one of the things, like at government high school where we visited, where we equally visited the government bilingual high school, and even some primary schools there in the Fungam subdivision. It was a compulsory there that the wearing of masks, washing of hands were being found, and even as students or pupils were in classroom, it was a compulsory for them to put on their mask. Just to tell you that though some administrators in the Mentum division, as the schools, they are actually within complaining that there are lack of infrastructures to host them because of the past, where some schools were burned, some schools even cannot hold because separatist fighters actually got in touch with these campuses. Just to tell you that in Wom, they have equally these difficulties to ensure that the two-shift system of classes, to begin teaching, they say, may be a little bit difficult. But like I tell you, teaching is said to be very effective in, in all the schools. Most of the schools, I would say in most of the schools in Mentum division, as more learners and teachers are actually joined back to ensure that the 2020-2021 school year in Mentum division goes afloat. Charles Kebwache for My Media Prime from Mentum, the divisional headquarters.
Thank you very much, Charles Kebwa. Unfortunately, because of the network, we won't be able to bring you the situation in Ekona, where Moki Reagan worked today, and also Kumba. Sidwan is telling me that he had issues with light, electricity in Kumba today. That is why he was not able to file in. We want to say thank you, Apostle Ambe, for coming and talking to our televiewers this evening.
Thank you to Mr. Liu, and thank you, my co-panelists. Thank you, Cameroonians, for listening to us. It's always a privilege and a joy to be here to educate our population. God bless you.
Thank you, Tamai Jarvis, for coming also to be part of this edition of the program.
Well, thank you, Leonard. Thanks to Auntie Emma in Bonaberry, and of course Auntie Ellen who are watching, and of course from board Emile from Limbe. I want to say a special thank you to the Prime Minister of Cameroon who is listening to us and know that ENAM should be reviewed, and of course the head of state who will send high instructions to the quarters that be to understand that there is need to restructure ENAM and possibly to look into the results so that we can have regional balance. And why not us looking at Anglophones, looking at for a way to have our Anglophone president? I think that should be the project right now. We need an Anglophone president.
Okay, thank you for Evis Tayo.
Thanks very much. It's my pleasure to come here and, of course, say several things concerning the kangaroo system. Whether it is ENAM results, whether it is regional elections, House of Chiefs, or whatever, for now is no news. What is important now is solving the Anglophone crisis once and for all. All those other things, they are just playing to the gallery. Thank you.
We want to thank you all who took time off to follow the program. And once again, we say greetings to you. Paddy Asanga, who is watching us all the time from Germany, also participating when he has the opportunity to do so. We want to thank the production team, Desmond, Paul, and Eli, and to you, Tabby Tambe Bryant. We say thank you. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.